Hey y'all, so I'm going to be going over August 3rd. I didn't get to make a video that day. Um, so anyway, I had the overnight high up here and the overnight lows down here. I started trading at 8 Central Time, which is around this area right here. So we had these two legs down. Now I want to go over this trade right here because you can tell that there's clearly something up with it, with this trend line. And so the way I viewed this trade was we had two legs down off the overnight low. It's forming a clear triple test. So we have many things in this area here that are, supporting this trade. So one, it's off the overnight low. That's a very significant key level. It's also it's forming a triple test, a very big picture triple test off of the overnight low. At the same time, with two legs down, and we all know how trends play out. When a trend has a break, it tries to make a new extreme. In this case, a downtrend, having a break, wanting to make a new low. We clearly have a big picture, what is basically a second entry long. So there's all sorts of reasons to want to go long here. Now, when I took this trade here, I did make a mistake. Somehow I did not draw this line wide enough. I had, drawn it out, but for some reason I just didn't extend it. The farthest I extended it to was right here, and for some reason I just forgot about it. But if you extend it all the way, you can tell, right off that swing, it's fitting along with these wicks right here. It clearly is blocking this entry. Now, there's so many good things going for this trade, so I'm not surprised it worked out. But if I had noticed that, I would have avoided entering there until we got to close out. I still think it's good to enter after we close out of this because it's such a strong level. You can definitely play the two legs down. I'm not gonna expect price to need a new low for breaking this trend line, barely breaking out, because you can expect a wider break anyway for bigger picture trends. And with these two major legs down, if it's forming a wider trend, you can expect a pretty large break. So what I would have done differently had I seen that was I would have just tried to enter on this bar right here that's actually closing out. And so I do like that. But that was a mistake, my entry down here. It really does have great looking context. It does look good, but when you consider this, and one thing I want to mention is if we had, say, a swing right here and it barely ended up blocking and it didn't fit on any other swing, that wouldn't bother me if it was an extremely strong setup. But considering, it lines up with these wicks so perfectly, it's clearly been forming this resistance, this slanted resistance level for quite some time. It's basically been forming it throughout the overnight session. So it's very clear you should not enter into a trend line like that. But anyway, we do push on up here. Should have waited on that break, but anyway. So we push on up. We start getting congestive around reaching 1-to-1. We start going into this range right here. We break out. We fade back in. It stays pretty choppy. The EMA is pointing basically straight up into that. And so then we push into it, and the EMA is still holding bullish. We're clearly holding on top of the EMA. It's closing below a little bit, but it's really struggling to get through it there. And so we push on lower here. We break out at the low. We attempt to fade. There's no entry here, unfortunately. You can clearly tell, you're just completely blocked at this point right here from entering long. We get a break, and then we can start looking for a wider channel because it clearly is still fitting off these lows. But the reason that I like this right here, which I did not get in on this, but I do like it. So considering this downtrend had a break and we had this first push to a new low and we clearly started making a second leg down, I was using the second leg down kind of as momentum for this trade right here. And so you see how we kind of started forming this range right here. It's like it's only a few bars, but it's clearly getting stacked, and then your target is still just at the lows of this stacked bars right here. So considering it's such a small entry with some bigger picture momentum, I actually do like this right here. Now when I see this, you can see they have a leg up, push back down, second leg up. I am not taking this as a second entry. I can technically see the two very small legs there, but really what this is a breakout pullback with good momentum down and good reason to think we're getting a second leg down here. So once again, we have a downtrend, break, first leg at a new low, second leg at a new low. And then after that second leg, of course, that's when we reverse on higher there. But I do like this just for 1-to-1. You can clearly tell it's staying within this very small chop right here. So anyway, we push on lower here. We break out of the lows of the overnight. We immediately start fading back in. Unfortunately, there's not a clear long entry in here. I mean, you draw out this trend line, you're completely blocked at this point below the EMA, and then by the time you do close above, you struggle to get through, but then you're closing above. It's not like you have anywhere to enter. It's basically just a straight spike up, still closing in this channel. So I'm not going to be entering on anything like that. But anyway, we push on up here, go into this thin uptrend, get a break. As we break, it gets very choppy here. It kind of just has a break right here, push up to a new high, and then we attempt to reverse back down. Of course, there's no real entry on here. It's just basically going straight sideways, and there's no clear setup. I would want to see a clear reversal pattern. So we break, get 2 clear legs down. I can technically see this, but it does make a count reset right there. And then it's very choppy at the same time. And then when you're entering, it bounced off the low right there, but then it closed there, formed a new bar, it didn't reach the low. So there's really no good reason to go long here. This is just a choppy looking area. But we push on up, we make a new high for this uptrend, and then we attempt to reverse back down. So considering this was a very strong push down right here, right after the uptrend playing out, so that's to be expected, I would want to see a second attempt down before going long. Not that there's any good entry anyway, or a good signal bar anyway, of course, because it's just a terrible, it's green body, but that's basically a bear bar. And then by the time you do get a good signal bar, you're closing way too high up with absolutely no room. Your target would be very tiny compared to your stop, and there's no way that I would want to do something like that, and I wouldn't recommend it because I do minimum 1-to-1 R risk to reward. So anyway, we push up. We can see there's a measured leg here, and then right at that measured move, or near that measured move, it starts reacting, and then it does end up pushing on through. And so we can see those couple legs. It pushes on up. We start going congestive again. Or it's not really, it's more like getting into a larger range. And so, I would view this right there, I'd call that congestion. At this point, that we're just in this range right here. And so I drew this right here off these lows, and then at first it was right here, and then we overshot, and then, we pushed up, we bounced off, we had another push up. So I decided to see how it would fit right here, because this did seem pretty accurate. The EMA is basically right in the middle of it. And so, anyway, we're going sideways here, and then we have this push down right here. And now there's a reason I do not like going long here. Now, even if, say this was a perfect signal bar, I still wouldn't like this right here, because consider this. We have a swing here, and a swing here, right? That is forming a triple test. So 2 legs up into a triple test, and then as soon as that triple test forms, it finally has a decently strong push down. That is indicative of a reversal. So what you'd want to see here is a little push higher, and then a second clear leg down, and then look for a long off those lows. But this is not a long that I like right here, because once again, it's a first entry right after a triple test, which is very common topping pattern, right after 2 legs up. So it's just a reversal down is just far too likely in this area. So I do not like that. But we push on up here, we break out, we fade back in. It's just a first entry, so there's no way you're going to get in on this fade safely. Then here we're off of this trend line now, but we are still inside of this downtrend line here, so I don't like entering long on any of this. And then here it's just within, it's basically into this range high right here. It's just not clear entries. I would want to wait for some breakout pullback, a breakout, and then 2 legs down, retesting this high, and the key entry point here would be the most ideal. But instead, we reach this previous swing, and then we start getting a little bit sideways, and so there's no clear entries here. But we push on up, and then we go into this range right here, and then we have a couple legs down. Now on this, you really wouldn't have much room to here, if you enter with a stop. I do think that once you close above here, considering, we just came off of this high, right? So when I moved the trend line up to there, it ended up matching, which by the way, I just want to mention that I did not trade too long. I basically stopped trading around this area here. This was a couple days ago. So I just want to make it clear that when I was trading, this is about where I stopped. And then, I'll still get into the other, the stuff that I didn't trade. But anyway, so considering we just came off the upper trend line, now, like I say, when you come off one side of a channel, you want to wait for 2 attempts to reach the other side before you continue long with the up channel. And so, of course, the inverse is true with the downtrend. When you are in a downtrend and you come off the highs, or if you come off the lows, you want to see 2 attempts to push higher before continuing short. And so I like how we have 2 clear legs down right here. And then when we push above the EMA, I do think this looks good. Just because it's so clear with these 2 legs down, trying to reach the other side, and then you can continue along with the channel. So when we close above, I like it, but you just don't have quite enough room to these highs. Now, I do think it looks good with a limit order, and I believe you could have gotten filled with a limit order on this trade right here to ride to these highs. And then same thing with this higher low right here. This is basically just a pretty strong looking higher low right after a decent entry. So you don't quite have enough room, but if you try to get in with a limit order, then I do like this. I don't think you would have gotten filled on a limit order in this case far enough back, but I do like the way that this looks technically. And so anyway, we push on up, we clearly start forming this resistance. We push off of that pretty strongly. And then at this point, I believe I stopped trading in somewhere in the middle of this. I didn't get either of these entries. I stopped right before them. Or I was actually doing the post during these, and that's why I didn't really see them in real time. But anyway, we got this break right here. Now, like I say, price action levels get bigger as more time goes on. So at first, when this uptrend gets a break, some might see it as, uptrend, break, first attempt higher, second attempt higher, failure. Now that is a very small picture, and I don't see any clear entries off that because it's not like it's reaching the EMA. In this first attempt higher, it reaches the EMA, but that's just a first entry. But my point is, as more price action forms, you can tell that everything within this trend right here is the break. So it's actually uptrend, break, and then look at this. So I'm going to draw out these arrows here just to make this a little bit more clear. Uptrend, break, first attempt higher, second attempt higher, failure. And we're clearly forming this range right here. So right here, this looks like an excellent short, because you have confluence on both sides of the count. So let me explain. So just like I said, how this uptrend has 2 attempts at a new high, and after 2 attempts, you can look for a failure. On the other side of the count, we have downtrend, break, first attempt lower, second attempt lower. Now, obviously, like I said, price action levels get bigger as more time goes on. At first, you might say downtrend, break, first attempt lower right here, and then second attempt lower right there. But as more price action forms, you have to look for the bigger picture structures. We can tell downtrend has a break, you have a first attempt down, and we can look to enter on the second attempt down. And considering it's also the second attempt failure for this uptrend, it has confluence. So this is a excellent looking trade right here. So this is definitely a great looking short right here. I really wish I stayed longer because I haven't seen a picture perfect setup like that, like this great looking in quite a while now, it seems. So definitely looks great. Notice I also like how it just traps just like a cherry on top. It ticks higher than that green bar and just rockets down to the nearly stopping him out. So that looks excellent right there. And then of course with this push down right here, as you get this break, you can draw out your measured move. Oftentimes when it has the, when you're entering on the second attempt lower, I'll put the measured move to the second attempt. And then of course, there you go. Measured move met to the tick reversed. So these measured moves are extremely important. This is not a coincidence. I mean, these are 2 perfectly measured legs. You could have had this leg drawn out far before we ever reached this measured move. And so it reversed on it to the tick. Maybe it went 1 tick through, it looks like. So I'm saying these key levels, these bigger picture structures, you really do got to get them down. And so anyway, we push out of this range right here and we still have not reached the measured move. We can still look for entries to reach this measured move. And so here, we get a couple legs up. It's pushing above the EMA. And, plus on a bigger picture, that really does look like just one leg. So I don't really like the shorts in here. At first, like I say, I'll go through the different price action levels. At first, you'd see uptrend, break, new high. But really, even as you see that, you can tell that there's something wider in play with those highs. So I really just view this as one leg up. And so we push lower here, and then this right here, you can draw this out. Now notice how you had this breakout pullback right here. You have this measure move in play, and now you're getting a second leg up right here. And so when you rush above the EMA and you're retesting this channel, right, or not channel, excuse me, this range. It's always screwing up on the terminology. I still wouldn't want to enter into the EMA in this case because it's just because when we have these two legs down like this, it's very common to get a reversal right after, and we are starting to push above the EMA here. Even though we have this measure move still in play and we can look to complete it, we do have two legs down. We are pushing above the EMA, so I just want to be safe entering under the EMA. Now there's one more thing here. Draw out this. And so, as you can draw them out and extend them as they form these trend lines. Now you're off of it here, but you had a pretty good break right there for a couple bars. And so considering that, it did break this channel here, it is into the EMA, and you technically have this measure move still in play, I would just want to wait for a bar closing below the EMA. And so considering the big picture, this is a big picture trade, two legs up. At first the trend line wasn't holding here, but now it is pushing below. It's also pushing below the EMA. This larger measured move in play, I really do like entering short here after we close below. And so I would keep it within this, this swing down here, because you don't want to push it farther than you need to. And you can get a pretty good target anyway. So, I don't mind pushing it a little bit below if you absolutely need to get filled, but this is a great looking area. Of course, I was not trading at this time. This is way past when I'm done trading. I'm usually done at noon. Like I said, I was doing up the noon chart posts right here on the website. And so I didn't get to trade any of this, unfortunately, but this does look good. Two great looking trades right here. And so anyway, we push on lower here, meet that measured move, and we just spike up higher. It gets a little bit messy. It's nothing clear after that, but yeah, anyway, that's really going to do it for this video. Thanks for watching. I'm glad I got this out today. I just wanted to get it out because I was telling people on the website that I would get a video out on Thursday, but then something came up and I couldn't do it, and so I decided to get it out today. But anyway, I hope this video helped out in some way, and thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.